Welcome back to KBF, where you receive the knowledge that's believable and factual. I'm your host, John Ravens, and today our topic is 15-minute cities. Today I'm joined by my friend, Michael Corin. Hello, Michael.
Greetings, John. I'm honored to be here, and yes, I would love to share my topic on the 15-minute cities. I've been really putting in work into the article.
Michael is a journalist for the Washington Post, who recently wrote an article about a concept that is known as 15-minute cities. So Michael, what is a 15-minute city?
Well, a 15-minute city is a city who has all of its amenities in a 15-minute radius, meaning grocery stores, access to housing, school, jobs, and much more. This 15-minute radius means that it should be a 15-minute walk, bike, or transit ride.
So what are some of the advantages and disadvantages of a 15-minute city?
Well, according to the article I published for the Washington Post, some of the advantages of 15-minute cities is that you were close to all of life's necessities. In our modern world, people spend around 45 minutes each day driving to work. This is time that could be spent doing other things. Using the model of the 15-minute city could resolve this issue. However, some people think that using the 15-minute city model could imprison people within a 15-minute radius from their homes.
So Michael, since we live in the Orlando area, what would be an example of a 15-minute city in Orlando?
Well, there are some, but there's one that stands out the most. Winter Park. Winter Park is classified as a 15-minute city because it has many amenities nearby. For example, it has the UCF College of Medicine within 15 minutes. Also has many grocery stores such as Publix, hospitals such as Advent Health, many botanical gardens to enjoy life, and much more.
Some people may believe that 15-minute cities are a concept for the wealthy. What is the cost of living in Winter Park?
So, from what I've seen, heard, and researched, while it may be true that the cost of living in Winter Park is high, it is worth it. Actually, the cost of living is 25% higher than other cities in Orlando. But do not let that discourage you or anyone else from moving there. 15-minute cities gives you amenities that money cannot buy.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you too, John, for having me here. It was such a pleasure to bring this topic out and present it to people.
And we're back. And this time we're going international. The concept of a 15-minute city is not just limited to the United States. Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo campaigned on the promise of 15-minute cities. Sydney has proclaimed itself as a 20-minute metro. I'm now going to be joined by Frank Jacobs. Hello, Frank.
Greetings, John.
Frank is a writer for a platform called Big Think. He recently wrote an article discussing how Paris is already a 15-minute city. So Frank, how is Paris a 15-minute city?
Well, John, as a reminder, a 15-minute city is a place where a person can access things in their life like going to work, getting food, and going to school within a short walk or even on a bike. In Paris, there are over 60,000 shops and commercial services. The good thing about this is that they are spread across the city in an even way. This means that Parisians live only a couple minutes away from many shops. Many people in Paris use transportation like bikes or scooters because everything is close to each other in Paris.
So, what is the cost of living in Paris like?
The cost of living in Paris is fairly high compared to other cities in other parts of the world. In fact, it is the second most expensive city in the world to live in. For example, the cost of a single person living alone in Paris ranges from 1,000 to 2,000 euros, not including rent. But as a comparison to a place where most of you are familiar with, New York, it is 24% less expensive.
Well, thank you, Frank.
Thank you, John.
Before we finish, I would like to go over some of the things we learned today about 15-minute cities through our friends Michael Corin and Frank Jacobs. A 15-minute city is when you are in a 15-minute radius from all things you need, such as groceries, medical care, and recreation. The concept of a 15-minute city can be seen in a lot of places. Today, we talked about two places, Winter Park in Orlando and Paris in France. While these two places are very far from each other and have very different cultures, they still function the same way most 15-minute cities do. The residents of their cities live within walking distance from many things they need. For example, groceries. 15-minute cities have many advantages. People who live in them are close to everything they need. This is also good for the environment. If people live close to everything they need, they are less likely to use transportation such as cars. This in turn reduces the amount of carbon emissions in our atmosphere. However, there is one big concern when it comes to 15-minute cities, and that is the feeling of being trapped. Some people argue that if you live in an area where you're close to everything you will need, you'll have no reason to leave your area. This can be a very big concern, but we have to see if it actually happens in real life. Thank you for joining me on this episode of KBF, where you receive the knowledge that is believable and factual. What are your opinions on 15-minute cities? Feel free to let us know, and feel free to follow us on Instagram and X. Thank you for listening.